I'm glad I'm a student at Carver. I'm learning to be the best me. I'm glad I'm a student at Carver. 'Cause Carver is special to me. Reading, writing, math and art that makes me smart. Music, PE, oh Carver is special to me. I'm glad I'm a student at Carver. I'm learning to be the best me. I'm glad I'm a student at Carver. 'Cause Carver is special to me. Reading, writing, math and art that makes me smart. Music, PE, oh Carver is special to me.
I came to Carver Elementary in August of 1998. My youngest daughter was just 2 years old. Now she is a sophomore in college. She spent a lot of time at the school before she was even old enough to attend. Stacy grew up at Carver Elementary, as did her older sister Sarah. When Sarah finished classes at Pickett, she would ride the bus to Carver and play in my classroom while I worked. Sarah was evaluated by Nancy Krennick from Rock on the Carver playground and became one of the first clients at the Ride-On Center for Kids. The year before Stacy started kindergarten, on the last day of school, my husband passed away unexpectedly. The staff at Carver were right there for me. Diane Alf, one of the PE coaches at the time, packed up my room for the summer. Several of my first grade team members came to my house and took care of things there. And when Stacy did attend Carver in the fall as a kindergartner, she was given lots of love from a wonderful staff. I have seen lots of people come and go at Carver, but one thing has remained constant. The staff here is one of the best. It is a very loving, caring community. They love every student that walks through the doors and make sure those students' educational and emotional needs are met, and they are quick to take care of each other as well. There is no other school I would have thought of sending my little girl. Carver was and still is one of the best. Carver Memory by Brenda Brooks.
One of my earliest memories is of attending my big sister's lollipop dance show at Carver when I was a toddler. She is 7 years older than me, so I couldn't have possibly been more than 3 years old. I can vividly remember looking at those huge concrete supports around the gymnasium and thinking to myself, I'm never going to be big enough to go to this big kids' school. Well, fortunately, not only did I get to attend Carver for several years, but I was also privileged to see all three of my sons attend that same school. It was an incredible feeling to visit them at the same school that I at one time could only dream of attending. Both as a student and as a mother, I have loved being a part of Carver's history. I'm excited to know that my children will grow up with similar memories of their elementary years, although for the younger two, it may have been cut short now that they are moving on to Pickett for kindergarten, which I also attended. Carver will forever have a special place in our hearts. Carver Memories by Shayna Gray Nieto.
In the summer of 2003, I received a call from Central Office telling me that my job as an aide in PE at McCoy Elementary was being eliminated, and if I wished to stay employed by the district, I needed to go to Carver for a job interview. I was devastated. Not only was I losing my dream job in PE, but I was having to change schools. I literally sat through my interview crying and was dumbfounded when Jennifer Malden, then principal, wanted me anyway. I came to Carver drudgingly, working in content mastery, thinking all the while, God has a plan for me, I just don't know what it is. Lo and behold, that same October, one of the aides was turning in her notice. I immediately went to Jennifer and told her if all possible I wanted to move over to PE. I was back in PE and now working with Paul McQueen. We made a great team and became close friends. I had the pleasure of working with Paul for 10 years, and then he announced his retirement. Once again, my heart sunk. I jokingly told him it was as if we were getting a work divorce. Then steps in Amber Sodachek. We hit it off from the start, fast and furious friends and teammates. Amber, in my mind, had some huge shoes to fill, and she has filled those shoes and then some. I have often thought, if I had a child young enough to attend an elementary school in Georgetown, I would want them at Carver. Instead of having a child go to Carver, I now have a daughter who has joined the Carver team as a kindergarten teacher. What a blessing to not only work with your child every day, but to see her grow as a teacher and know that she is in the best place possible. 13 years, 4 principals later, I could not ask for a better place to work. Carver has been through many hard times and many transitions, but the friendly, warm, welcoming atmosphere has never changed. God did indeed have a plan for me. I'm glad I was just not too stubborn to listen. Carver Memory by Coach Bushman.
I moved to Georgetown and began to sub for the district in December of 2002. My favorite campus to work for was Carver Elementary. There was just something special about the campus, staff, kids, and atmosphere. I applied to get a full-time teaching position with the district, and my father asked me, "What campus would you like to work on?" My reply was Carver. My wish came true the following school year. I began teaching first grade next to an amazing educator, Susan Snow. I have now been on the Carver campus for 13 years, having taught both first and second grade. Carver is an amazing campus filled with dedicated, loving, and amazing people. My Carver Memory by Rebecca Lauer.
A tribute to Carver Elementary. May 27, 2011 will be a bittersweet day for our family. It is a day we have to say goodbye to a school that has become our family. It is also a day we never thought we would see. The day when our 8-year-old Ashani, who has battled cancer twice, completes second grade and leaves Carver Elementary. In January 2009, Ashani was diagnosed with a relapse of rhabdomyosarcoma during her kindergarten year. Our lives were shattered for the second time, only this time she was older, in school, and thought of fighting cancer again was terrifying. I wondered how she would cope with her schoolwork, how her friends would react, especially when she started to lose her hair, and how she would adjust to these changes. What I failed to realize was that she was at a school with the most compassionate and loving people who would do anything just to make us go through each day. Treatment was tough on her. She missed a lot of school days and a lot of fun activities at school. She got homeschooled every 2 out of 3 weeks. The teachers worked hard to make up for it. She got lots of letters and cards from her classmates, gifts to cheer her up, including a basket of arts and crafts to keep her occupied, put together by all of the teachers. The staff and parents provided us with meals whenever we needed it. She was allowed to do some fun activities that she had missed when she did go to school. The counselor and teachers helped counsel the children about cancer, both in Ashani's class and also in her sister Monisha's second grade class. When Ashani started to lose her hair, the kids were very supportive of her and even protected her from some kids who were not. During the summer holidays, her kindergarten teacher accompanied her many times for chemotherapy and radiation treatments. Her PE coaches presented her with a medal at the end of the year that she insisted on wearing even during radiation treatments. Since Ashani completed treatment in first grade, the staff have continued to support her. They never for 1 minute forgot about everything she has been through. They held their breath with us for every scan that she had and exhaled with every good result. Carver Elementary hosted the first Alex's Lemonade stand in April 2009 to raise money for childhood cancer research, raising $500. Since then, with their support, our family has raised over $30,000 for ALSF. At least half of the volunteers at each lemonade stand we have had since are teachers and parents from Carver, and many just to stop by for lemonade. It has been heartbreaking for me to see the recent job losses at schools. These are people who have gone above and beyond a teacher's job description. They have spent their own personal time supporting children going through a crisis. They are the kind of people that we as parents would love to have as teachers for our children. To Ms. Bottlinger, Carver principal, and the staff, parents, and students at Carver, we thank you for everything you have done for Ashani. We thank you for making our journey a little easier and for riding along with us. We will miss you all. You will always be part of our family. Dash and Kumar.
Carver Ghost Stories. For many Carver teachers who come up to school on the weekends and prepare lessons for the upcoming week, the halls of Carver are a quiet place to get work done. But a few people have had a different experience. A young support staff teacher was in her room one weekend catching up on paperwork at one end of the school when she kept hearing children's voices in the hall. Knowing that teachers often brought their own children with them while working, She thought little of it, until they started knocking on her door. She went to the door. Nobody was there. She went down the hall looking for other teachers in their rooms, only to discover she was the only teacher on campus at the time. That was the last time she came up to the campus on the weekend. Another time, the computer lab teacher came up one weekend to rearrange things in the lab. Her husband, who had dropped her off earlier, came in a little later. As he walked down the silent halls, he heard each door he passed bang shut, even though they were already closed before he walked past them. By the time he got to the lab, he was completely unnerved. He told his wife to pack her things and forbid her to come back by herself in the future. Upon hearing of these stories, another teacher, used to spending long hours at school, often by herself, scoffed at the tales. Then one of her fellow teachers showed her a picture taken recently in their classroom with a ghostly figure standing to the side of the teacher. Was it merely a trick of the light or the flash? Or was it truly a ghost? You decide.
The following is a story from Kathy Horde. About 25 years ago, I was teaching a third grade class here at Carver. In late September, my principal, Pete Zinner, called me late one afternoon and told me he had bad news. One of my students, Michael Rosser, had been riding his skateboard with friends at the Apple Creek Apartments. He had decided to ride down the hill on his skateboard on his tummy. He couldn't stop, and he slid underneath an oncoming pickup truck. He was air-flighted to the hospital in Austin, but he did not survive. His parents made the decision to donate the organs of their only child. The principal and I called the parents of all my students that evening, asking them to please talk with their children about the accident. On Monday morning, the principal and counselor came to my class, and we encouraged the kids to share their feelings and to feel free to show their emotions. My students felt it was important to write about the things they thought were best about Michael. A few weeks later, my class participated in planting an oak tree on the front lawn of the school. They shared their writings with Michael's family and with the reporters that were present. We continued to talk about Michael during that school year. They chose to keep his desk empty to always remember that a part of our class was missing. That might have been the end of this story, but now I need to tell you the rest of the story. About 10 years after Michael's death, I was speaking to a group of teachers from the Waco area. One lady raised her hand and asked if we could talk privately at the end of the meeting. When we were in the hall, she asked, "How long have you lived in Georgetown? Did you know a little boy named Michael Rosser?" I told her that I did know Michael, that he had been in my class when he had passed away. She looked at me, touched my arm, and said, "I have his kidney." I asked, "How do you know?" She told me that there had been an article in the Austin newspaper about Michael's death and his parents' generous donation of his organs. She told me his kidney had been transplanted in a Waco area teacher. I was the only Waco area teacher to receive a kidney transplant that week. I know it belonged to him. His kidney will now let me live to see my 8-year-old son grow up, and I am so thankful. I have lost touch with her, but I know that the kidney was good for 20 years or so. So she let me know that she had another kidney piggybacked onto Michael's. When her son graduated from high school, she sent money to me asking that I place something at Michael's grave in his high school colors. The tree is still growing and thriving in Carver's front yard. I look at it and think of the sweet little boy that left a hole in so many hearts.
I went to Carver for my second and third grade year. When I was in second grade, there was a really bad storm passing through, and the school had to have a real tornado drill. We all filed out into the hallways just like we do now. My classmates and I did exactly like we had practiced. We knelt down, heads up against the wall, and hands over our heads for protection. We had to stay like this for 30 minutes. Finally, the teachers took pity on us, and since there was no active tornadoes, we got to sit up with our backs against the walls. We had to sit there for 4 hours. Mrs. Vargo, Mrs. Horde, and some other teachers here at Carver brought out string and other small things for us to play with and keep us somewhat entertained. Now, whenever we have a tornado drill and that I'm on the teacher side of it, I still laugh at the thought of that day.
Happy birthday, Carver. Both my sons attended Westside Elementary. My oldest, Christopher, attended 2nd and 4th grade. He was a student from 1988 to about 1991. Mr. Pete Zenner was the principal. And if I'm not mistaken, the grades were from 2nd to 4th grade. He remembers Mrs. Herrick being his 4th grade teacher. Now, my youngest son, Aaron, attended Carver Elementary during 1993 to about 1995. Aaron attended 2nd to 3rd grade, and the setup at Carver at that time was 2nd to 3rd grade. Aaron's 2nd grade teacher was Mrs. Vargo. Mr. Pete Zenner was his principal. Both boys attended the school before it was renovated. I started to teach at Carver in 2005 as a kindergarten teacher. I had been teaching at Annie Pearl, and I was approached by my wonderful friend Joanna Costa to come and teach here. I was reluctant at first, so here I am, Carver, thanks to Joanne. It has been a wonderful 10 years. I have always felt welcome at Carver / Westside as a parent and as a teacher. Happy 50th birthday, Carver. You're holding up well. Thank you for all the teachers that have worked with my sons. Thank you, Carver. Carver has a wonderful staff, parents, and students. Cynthia Pena.
I believe my love for reading began at Carver Elementary. I attended 2nd grade at Carver and fell in love with our reading textbook. I would read each story over and over. When I was sick, my teacher let me take the book home, and I treasured having that book at my house. I read it cover to cover, over and over, and didn't bring it back until the end of the school year. I learned to write in cursive, aced my spelling test, and that field day trip meant a trip to Jiffy Mart for a Lunchable and a canned soda. It was at Carver I learned I wanted to be a teacher and share school experiences and memories with students every year. Lindsay Lanou, Pickett teacher.
Hi, my name is Delaney Taylor. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm going to tell you one of my funny stories that happened here at Carver. Okay, it started out like a normal recess with my best friend Emily, but then we were on the slide. Emily screamed, saying that she saw a big bug. She's dramatic, and told me to come look at it, so I went over, scared, and I saw a praying mantis about 3 inches long, so I yelled, because I'd never seen one so big, and so my friend KK came over to see what was going on. And when she saw it, she picked it up and said, "Yay, a new pet!" And she kept it for a week. But then it died. I hope you like my story from Carver Elementary. I still remember it very well.
I'm glad I'm a student at Carver. I'm learning to be the best me. I'm